What's going on, people? It's your boy Neeks, and I'm back with a bit more transfer news, of course, about Manchester United, and we're going to do with a few others. We're going to home in on Italy, Syria, and today, Friday, less than a week left of the English transfer window. Of course, we know European transfer window goes on to about September the 3rd, so they can still buy players up until that period. But of course, in England, in the Premier League, our business in terms of purchasing players has to be done by August the 8th, and it's got real hectic in the last 24 hours, really. If you check out my video on the Football Terrace, it's called The Best of the Rest. That's a show we're doing, and we talk about the moves such as, Moise Kean to Everton and others along that path. So right here now we're just gonna talk about some of the top 6 sides and some of the top sides in Europe. Of course, the big news is Dybala, Juventus, Lukaku, Manchester United. That swap deal has been made possible by Juventus. Juventus are willing to get rid of Dybala. Juventus as a club are willing to get rid of Dybala. Now, Fabrizio Romano, a very reliable Italian journalist for Sky, he has actually spoken recently about this transfer. So I'm going to speak directly based on what he has said. I don't have any inside information. He just literally, probably about an hour ago, spoke on Sky Sports, their podcast, about this. You can probably go check it out yourself as well. But it's about the whole Dybala situation. And the reality is, Dybala's angry. Dybala's angry at Juventus. That's the bottom line. Now, last season under Massimo Allegri, he was pretty much sidelined. He played a number of games. Yeah, he played over 30 games in all competitions, but he wasn't the first choice, guaranteed first choice. He only scored, 10 goals in all competitions, 5 in the league. He didn't have a good season, and he felt that the issue was the manager. The manager didn't like him, didn't fit into what the manager wanted. The manager's now gone. So he felt that, he's now got another chance to prove himself at Juventus, because, he moved here from Argentina to do that. In the last few years that he's been there, he has proved the quality that he is. So to have such a bad season, you might say all of a sudden, he felt, obviously, once Ronaldo came in, his position became somewhat, much more support role as opposed to, I want to say a focal point, but that important in the team. Ronaldo then became the focal point. But he's now learned that it wasn't just an issue with Allegri and him. The club, the hierarchy, don't really want him at the club. It's not a personal thing, but I think they've got other priorities. The fact is they brought in Ronaldo to be that focal guy. They brought in Matthias de Ligt. That's money. Italy doesn't have the money that the Premier League do. Manchester United, we know, we'll do a video on this once it's confirmed. It's pretty much done. Spend 80 million on Maguire. And they don't have to sell anyone to spend that 80 million. In Italy, it's not the same. They spend and then they have to recoup those funds. So they signed Ronaldo last year. They signed De Ligt this year. They're looking to recoup the funds, and Dybala is a means by which they can do that. So he is dispensable as far as Juventus, the hierarchy, are concerned. Now, one of the other issues that Dybala has, and that's the main reason he's angry at Juventus as a club, that, for all he's done, how successful he has been individually, they're willing to get rid of him so easily. What we do know is that Sarri likes to play the 4-3-3, and the 4-3-3 doesn't therefore accommodate Dybala, because his preferred position, his best position, is that in the number 10 role just behind the striker. So that is why this deal has been touted and looks even that more likely. Now, I would suggest, it's a bit up in there, but I would suggest that if the club are pushing Dybala out to this extent, they must have spoken to Sarri. They must have spoken to him to say, we can get Romelu Lukaku, would you like him? Yes. Well, we need to get rid of someone. Dybala, someone who has the value by which we can get rid. Is that something you're willing to do? Sarri must have said yes, because if Sarri wanted to keep him, so much so that they wouldn't get Lukaku, then this deal would never be taking place. Juve would never have come in to gazump Inter Milan and their offer for Lukaku. So I suggest that Sarri must be willing to let him go. Now, what Fabrizio Romano says is that Sarri speaks glowingly and has spoken glowingly about Dybala and his ability and his, you know, his footballing qualities. But here we are. He's available to go as a swap deal for Lukaku. But because of these, you know, professions that Sarri has made, Dybala wants to speak to Sarri. He knows the club want him to go, but he wants to speak to Sarri first. And if Sarri is adamant that he has no place in his side, then it's at that point where he will accept, reluctantly, but accept that he has to move on. He doesn't want to leave Juventus. That's a fact. He does not want to leave Juventus. He has told his agent this, and that's why he wants to speak to Sarri first. He wants to prove himself, and the reality is that his dream from when he was back in Argentina was to actually one day play in La Liga in Spain. So that would have been probably for Real Madrid or Barcelona, you know, at push Atletico Madrid. But a lot of South Americans generally have that dream to play in Spain. So I'm not surprised. England was never on his you know, hit list, so to speak. But the reason why the agents of Dybala have negotiated, or are negotiating, should I say, with Manchester United, it's obviously there's not much time left in the window. If Dybala realizes that Sarri doesn't want him, the deal can happen, you know, instantly. They don't have to then start negotiating. So, but the negotiations are happening that, in spite of Dybala's wish to stay at Juventus and prove himself, his lifelong dream to play in Spain, he knows and he has told his agents that it's Manchester United. Manchester United is a big club. Regardless of the fact they are in the Europa League, it's a big club, and it's somewhere if he had to leave Juventus, he'll be willing to go, regardless of their position. So obviously for me, that shows the pull of Manchester United. Not that I was in any doubt. We've been in the Europa League before. In that time, we signed Mkhitaryan, we signed Pogba, and we signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So my fear was never the pull or the lack thereof for being in the Europa League. But this further emphasizes that regardless of our current situation, that's not what's going to stop us from signing these elite players. But he's reluctant to leave, as I said. Now, the reality is Dybala is willing to make the move, but he has to be compensated correctly or for what he feels is fair. Now, as I said, the agents are negotiating with Manchester United. The talk is that Manchester United, according to Fabrizio Romano, have offered 11 million euros plus bonuses. That's around £220,000 a week, I think it is. 220,000 euros, sorry, a week. So that, you know, it's more than what he's getting now. But it hasn't been accepted because he wants to be earning more if he was to accept the move, closer to the top earners. Pogba 250. De Gea is very soon to sign and finalise his contract, which is around 300. And obviously we know Sanchez is on 450 base salary per, sorry, 400 base salary per week. So if he was to join, he's going to be wanting something around the £300,000 a week mark. And additionally, what we're hearing is that he doesn't want the clause by which your wages get reduced by 25% if you don't qualify for the Champions League. Every other player in the squad has that in their contract, but he's saying, well, if I am to sign I don't want that in my contract. So there are a few sticking points. Another one of the issues is the agent fee, of course. The agents want their cut for any deal done. And his image rights. His image rights are currently owned by a third party. I know you can't own players, part-owned players in England. I'm not sure what happens when it comes to third-party rights. If I'm correct, in England, the club has to own 100% of the player. So if by chance Manchester United, or if Man United do sign him, they will have to purchase those image rights. And then therefore, Dybala would get an increase in his salary to compensate for the loss of those image rights. So there are a few sticking points even before Dybala has chosen whether he wants to join Manchester United or not, that the club and the agents have to iron out. There's talk about whether or not Ronaldo's spoken to Dybala. Now we know Ronaldo spoke to De Ligt about coming to Juventus. This was during the UEFA Nations League tournament. De Ligt says that didn't influence him coming, but I'm sure it couldn't have deterred him, put it like that. It wouldn't have deterred him. And just the excitement about playing with someone like Ronaldo would have been enough. Now, we know Ronaldo's affinity with Manchester United. Of course, he's got his history here, but he still speaks glowingly about Manchester United. So if Dybala, as far as we're aware, he's spoken to Ronaldo, I would be confident that Ronaldo, if asked, how is it at Manchester United? Should I make that move? Of course, Ronaldo would like Dybala to stay because, as far as we're aware, he likes the partnership and the friendship that they have. But he would have spoke glowingly about Manchester United in terms of a place where Dybala can further his career. So that can only benefit us if he makes that move. Now, Fabrizio Morano does say, come the 8th of August, his belief, as things stand, is that Dybala will remain at Juventus. Mainly because of his will to remain at Juventus, not because he's wanted per se. He hasn't actually met with Sarri yet. That meeting is due to take place, I believe, tomorrow. He's not due back in training until the 5th of August. That's officially when his holiday ends. So even though he's come back early, sort out his future, and then if he remains, he will return to training on the 5th of August. If the meetings don't go well with Sarri, then of course he'll be probably on the plane to Manchester immediately to finalise the contract. It's a sticky situation. A lot is resting on this. His future, Lukaku's future, who we're about to speak to now, and the futures of other footballers actually all rely on this Dybala deal, which we're going to get onto, the other players. As far as Dybala coming here, I don't have an issue with him wanting to stay at Juventus and prove himself. Juventus are a big club, an elite club. They're investing money, I said the likes of Ronaldo, De Ligt, to, you know, get that Champions League. They won it very, very badly. I think, the 1992 maybe? Was that their last Champions League? Somewhere in the early 90s was their last Champions League. They won it very badly, and he probably wants to be a part of that. If he was to come to Manchester United, it may be another, you might say 3-4 years before we're even challenging for the Champions League again, at least. So he has to consider all of that. Additionally, there's a Copa America next year in Argentina. He also needs to think about his future in terms of if he's going to be playing, because if he stays at Juventus, reluctantly, and if Sarri is not really willing to use him, he could find his place in jeopardy in the Argentina squad. He hasn't got the greatest international record as it is, but there are players coming to the end of their tether, the likes of Higuain, Messi. We know he's retired and come back and retired and come back. Dybala is looked at as, you know, the heir to the throne for Argentina, but he needs to be playing football. I don't have an issue with him wanting to remain at Juventus. But if he does join Manchester United, what I would want at the least is him to want to prove Juventus wrong, which means he's putting in the best performances. I want his heart, or his head should I say, even more importantly, to be in the project at Manchester United. It may not be his first choice, i.e. his first choice is to remain at Juventus. But once he's accepted, if he does, that he has no future at Juventus, his head needs to be in the game. I don't want him coming here based on how much we're offering him. I don't want him coming here as a stepping stone, you might say, to move to Barca or Real Madrid in the future. I need him to play for Manchester United because he wants to be at Manchester United. That is what I expect, because we've seen players come here. Some might argue we've even got a player in Alexis Sanchez who I don't believe he came with the intention of, putting his feet up and relaxing, but he definitely came for financial reasons, because on a footballing level, granted we are a bigger club than Man City, on a footballing level, Man City are ahead of us. And at his age, it would have made sense if he went to Manchester City, if he was to, say, try and go win the Premier League or Champions League. To come to Manchester United on somewhat the basis that we paid more money, the performances that he's put in suggest that the move was financially motivated. I don't like to believe such a thing, because he seems a professional player. He's always trying. Maybe his legs are just gone and it's nothing to do with the money at all. But when Man United came with the money, it blew City out of the water and he chose Manchester United. He could have said, no, I accept less money and go to Man City. And I don't want that case with Dybala, where he's coming to us because we're willing to pay him 300 or 350,000 a week. Yes, we have to pay him handsomely, but I want him to want to be here, regardless of his desire as it stands to stay at Juventus. I guess the weekend, come Monday, I think we'll be much clearer on exactly where we are. What I do know is that if we don't get Dybala, we definitely need to go and get a central attacking midfielder or another central midfielder. We can't just be relying on Pogba. We can't rely on him to get us to be the creative drive behind everything. It doesn't make sense. Yes, we expect more from Sanchez, Martial, Rashford, etc. And if we get Maguire, we've got Wan-Bissaka, yes, it shores up things at the back. But to then just be relying on one man to keep providing and keep providing. Say he gets injured, then what? We can't do so. If Maguire doesn't happen, Maguire doesn't happen. But we can't go into the new season without having purchased a central attacking midfielder. Whether that be Bruno Fernandes or someone else. Whether that be a defensive midfielder to free up Pogba to do even more going forward. We can't say what Dan James, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, that's enough. We'll be lucky to get in top four with that. Lucky. So it's a big week for Manchester United. It's a week for me that will define our season. You could say come August the 8th, our season is made or broken right there and then. Moving on to other deals, as I said, there are some deals that are very reliant on Dybala. Of course, we know the future of Lukaku being the main one, and it's a sticky one for him because his first choice was to go to Inter. Inter ain't stumping up the cash, so he's having to go to Juventus. I mean, it ain't a bad alternative, is it? Even though his first choice is still Inter. Antonio Conte, guaranteed first choice. He will be the focal point. We know how much they want him, but they ain't paying the money. He's going to be playing with Ronaldo, Sarri obviously wants him. And he wants to play. He needs to play because we've got the Euros coming up next year. He needs to make sure that he keeps ahead of the pack. He's way ahead at the moment. But of the other Belgian strikers, the likes of Origi, there's obviously Mertens, Batshuayi. Those men are, if they have a good season and Lukaku's not playing first choice, they're going to be knocking on the door. Now, I still expect, regardless of what happens, injury permitting, he will be Belgium's #1 striker. But going to Euros, he wants to be playing. That's a guarantee because you can't risk being a bench warmer for the season before a massive tournament. And it's clear, no animosity, but it's clear that he doesn't fit into what Solskjaer wants. And he's not willing to be second choice. And that's fair. Like, I have no qualms. I have issue with him speaking out late last year about his dream to play in Italy. Yeah, at Man United, you focus on the job at Manchester United. He didn't do that. He didn't have a great season. I'm personally willing to let Lukaku go, regardless. Like, if Inter could stump at the cash, which they can't, they need to sell a striker to do so. Yeah, a striker, Dybala, specifically. But if Inter could stamp out the cash, I'm willing to let Lukaku go and not sign anyone because we've got 4 strikers on our book. Sanchez, Martial, Rashford, and then obviously Greenwood will be promoted. And I'm not saying whether they're going to bang 15, 20 goals and replace the goals with Lukaku, etc., etc. But that's their job. They should do that. That is their job. That's why we pay them X amount per week. That's why some of them get new contracts. That's why some of them are the most highly paid player in the Premier League. So that's their job. We can't be saying, because Lukaku's gone, who's going to replace the goals? So what are we paying these guys for? That's their job. If we don't believe they can do that, then get rid of them as well and get some people that can do the job. So I don't have an issue getting rid of Lukaku if we don't get someone, but if we don't replace him directly. But we do need to get another creative force in this side. Just quickly to finish on that, there's been talk about Mandzukic being involved in a possible swap deal, including the whole Dybala situation. 33 years old. He'll be a real plan B. How much we're going to pay him per week? It doesn't excite me. If you get him, you say, if he's content with being a real plan B, that's a proper plan B. That's a plan C or D. I don't know. I don't want Mandzukic. I don't want him. Where does he fit into all of this? You have to be losing the game for me to bring on Mandzukic. Because if it's, the FA Cup, League Cup, I want to play the likes of Greenwood. I want to play whoever the second choice striker is up front. Whether that be Rashford or Martial or Sanchez, whoever is the second choice #9. Nah, I don't want Mandzukic. I don't want that involved. But if that forces Dybala to come, if we have to get both of them to get Lukaku, because obviously they need to recoup some funds, then so be it, innit? So be it. But definitely not my cup of tea. Some more news staying in Syria is the news on Icardi. Now, the reality is Icardi has been told again his time at Inter is finished. His contract has basically been terminated. Not literally. They still want a fee for him if they're going to get rid. But he is no longer an Inter Milan player. As long as Conte is there specifically, and probably even if Conte wasn't there, with all the talk we've heard of off-field issues, he has no future at Inter Milan. He needs to go. Now, he would like to go to Juventus. If Dybala couldn't do a deal with Manchester United for whatever reason, there could be a swap deal between Icardi and Dybala on the cards. It would allow Dybala to stay in Italy, even though, again, his issue isn't leaving Italy. His issue is that he wants to be at Juventus. That's what he wants to do. Icardi, of course, would love to go to Juventus. The other clubs within Italy in talks or interested in Icardi is Napoli and Roma, but it's just interest. We're not convinced that either are destinations where Icardi wants to go. But sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet. However, Fabrizio Romano says that if he doesn't get the move that he wants, then he's willing to stay for another 6 months and try again in January. So a lot could hinge on this Dybala deal. If Dybala goes, then Icardi has to choose somewhere else to go. If Dybala stays, then the deal could be done between Dybala and Icardi. Now, as far as Lukaku goes and Inter, they haven't come back with another bid. I don't think they will come back with another bid because it doesn't seem like they've got the cash for it. Unless they were to raise some money through the sale of, well, is it Nainggolan? I think he plays at Inter Milan. But I just don't see them. They're bidding 70 million euros. I think we want closer to 90 million euros, which would be about 75 to 80 million pounds. They're falling way below the asking price. That's just the fact. And I don't think that's going to happen. So if Lukaku has to stay, it's a shame because he hasn't had a pre-season. Our season starts on the 8th. If he wants to go to Italy, he's still got 3 weeks to get ready for the season. Our season starts on the 8th. He hasn't had a pre-season. He's going to be at least a month behind everyone else, if not a bit more. And he's not first choice anyway. There's Rashford, there's Sanchez, as I said, Martial and Greenwood. So the best thing for everyone right now is for Lukaku to go. That's the first thing. Lukaku needs to go. Inter needs to get rid of Icardi. And Juve don't want Dybala. So see, the way I'm looking, it could be a kind of freeway. It's not going to happen, by the way. But Dybala comes to Man United, Lukaku goes to Inter, and Icardi goes to Juve. That would be perfect, in a perfect world, but that ain't going to happen either. More news from Italy and Manchester, not Manchester United, but Man City, is the news that João Cancelo, he wants to join Man City. He wants to join Man City, the right back, wants to play for Pep Guardiola. It's just a case of whether the clubs can get the deal done. Now, the deal, as it stands, is 30 million. Man City have bid 30 million plus Danilo for João Cancelo. But Juventus want 40 million euros plus Cancelo. They value him at around 60 million pounds, which means they, of course, value Danilo around 20 million. Sorry, 60 million euros, which means they value Danilo around 20 million euros. I think that deal will happen. I can't see how 10 million is going to really stop Man City from doing that deal. He's a very, very good right back. As a matter of fact, I would expect him to play ahead of Kyle Walker. I don't rate, especially defensively, Kyle Walker. I really don't. He's quick. That's really it. He's just quick. And if you're going to spend that kind of money, you know, a value of around 60 million euros. I know they spent 50 million on Kyle Walker already. You would expect that he's going to be really pushing for the first choice position, if not guaranteed first choice. So yeah, it could be a very, very busy few weeks between England and Syria, Manchester specifically, and Juventus. It's exciting times. It's exciting times. Or, alternatively, it's very worrying times. This deal, it has the making or breaking of Manchester United's transfer window. It really does. I hope Dybala can come. I hope we can get this deal over the line. I somewhat hope that Sarri tells him he has no place in the side and the meeting goes terribly. Force him to come to Manchester United. But only if he wants to play here. That's the bottom line. I only want players here who want to play for Manchester United. Because that's what's going to get us back to where we need to be. It's 50-50. At the moment, it's really in the balance. Not long to go. I just hope that Ed Woodward, Oli Solskjaer, and Dybala's agents can come to some agreement and Dybala can become another player, another world-class player to don the red of Manchester United. I'll be back with you guys very soon to talk more transfer talk when Maguire joins. Hopefully that's confirmed by Monday. Cricket, the Ashes. You've seen my video, my preview. West Indies is starting very soon against India. We're going to get onto that. And the rest of the transfer talk from Kyle and Ramon. Stay tuned to Neeks Sports. Hit the like and subscribe button.